Good morning. My name is Giorgos. I'm from the ORB group at University of Heidelberg, and today I'm going to talk to you a bit about familiarization with low-volume exoskeletons, and a bit about the title of this presentation, which is the design of the bipartite system for gate event detection and ultimately control of low-volume exoskeletons. I'm going to brush through quickly some background stuff, a preliminary study we did on quantifying familiarization, and then talk about the system. So our motivation was quite simple, which was simply to simplify biomechanics evaluation as means of testing hardware and software implementations or upgrades or just a new device. As we found out in the process, it can be quite time-consuming, it can be repetitive and tedious. And what we realized is that different people have different familiarization patterns, which means they have different familiarization time windows. And it begged the question, when do we actually know when to start collecting valuable data, and to this end, how important is familiarization? A quick word about the exoskeleton we're using. It's called the Twin. It's from the Italian Institute of Technology in Genoa. It has 4 actuated degrees of freedom, 2 at the hips and 2 at the knees. And if you have any questions about this, we can talk about it later. But moving on to our previous study. So we mainly wanted to quantify familiarization, and to do this, we thought a lot about how to use a motion capture lab to basically capture some biomechanical metrics that would allow us to do exactly that. So we came up with some familiarization indicators, simple spatial temporal parameters such as stride duration, mediolateral deviation from a straight path. So simply how much right or left you go if you were to walk a straight line with the exoskeleton. The area of support of the exoskeleton, which is the convex hull between the 2 feet and the 2 crutches. And lastly, muscle activity via EMG. We used the Qualis and Norexen system respectively to do this. We recruited just 5 young healthy adults for some preliminary results that performed 10 walking bouts or trials with the exoskeleton. And the results suggested that there were some statistically significant reductions when it came to the first 3 metrics, so stride duration, path deviation, and area of support. Whereas for muscle activation, the results were quite inconclusive. We studied further some muscle contraction patterns, but we decided to drop the whole thing at the end. Because apart from inconclusive, EMG tends to be quite tends to add some time to the experimental protocol, as I'm guessing many of you know, through the whole preparation, including palpating a full marker set, including a lower-limb exoskeleton marker set, and some more of the challenges that we had was that we had a limited capture volume in the motion capture lab. So for every trial, we had to walk, I don't know, not even 10 meters and then turn around with the exoskeleton, which is quite restricting. And then that means further post-processing nightmares in segmenting the data and so on. So it left us wanting something simpler, something easier, and that's when we decided to design a simpler system featuring some instrumented crutches and instrumented insoles in order to gather some biomechanical data from working with low-volume exoskeletons and ultimately segment the gate based on gate event detection, and in the future use this as control for low-volume exoskeletons. Now about the crutches, we have used a uniaxial load cell, which is connected to an amplifier. The measuring chain is from QTech off the shelf, and it's connected to an ESP32 with an IMU, so that we gather some orientation data, and then we create a force vector. The data is streamlined via BLE to a Raspberry Pi 4, which is on board on the exoskeleton. And we have validated the crutches against force plates based on the force vector that we get, and they were quite close to the reality we got from the force plates. And the second part of our system are instrumented crutches. These are crutches that we 3D print using flexible filament, and we can plug and play basically some force resistive sensors, round ones, And we again connect insoles to an ESP32 with an IMU for some further orientation and accelerometer data. And it's again streamlined in the same Raspberry Pi, which is on board on the exoskeleton. Now, the reason we use these insoles is that we use them in combination with fuzzy logic. So we have stated some membership functions that correspond to specific pressure sensors, and they give us information on the initial contact from the heel strike, on mid stance, on swing, and so on, based on both feet. And I mean, it's an old software, let's say, but it gives robust information on what we want to do. And mainly, we are able to reconstruct familiarization indicators, such as the strike duration, middle-lateral deviation, polygon support, based on the pressure insoles and also the IMU, which makes our simple tracking system quite advantageous over a motion capture lab, because we can go outside, we have unlimited capture volume, we have an onboard data acquisition system, so no more lab connectivity issues, and so on. And we have minimal preparation time, no palpation, no EMG, no big calibration protocols, which leads to a much shorter experimental protocol. So that was about it. Thank you for listening.
You have 1 minute with your slides in the back, and another minute for, like 2 minutes for questions.
Yes?
Sorry if I missed this in the beginning,
Sure.
but for your familiarization study, you're talking about reducing the experiment, which totally makes sense. But would it be better to speed up the familiarization rather than reducing the number of things you're looking at?
When you say speed up familiarization?
Like do protocols that typically result in capture adaptation, so things like giving people feedback.
So we had also some qualitative feedback, so we gave them some forms afterwards and surveys.
Sorry, like biofeedback.
Okay, biofeedback, yeah. Well, what we saw is that you cannot speed familiarization up. People take different times, and while we're tracking that, we also saw that some people get familiarized quite fast, some people take so much longer. It really depends on the individual, and it's also a very cognitive thing when it comes to being restricted from a device. Yeah, so we did try that, but it was not possible as far as we saw.
One last question.
Yeah. So I got from the last slide that you used the crash information to also compute the polygon of support. But if I got it correctly, you only have 4 sensors over there. So how do you compute?
We also have an IMU
Okay,
on the crash, which is our current work in progress, trying to integrate the accelerometer data to
get a location.
a relative polygon support that changes throughout, so we don't need the absolute numbers, but the difference between A and B. Yeah, that's all we can get, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is your